Welcome everyone. I hope you all are doing well and taking good care of yourselves. This is your instructor Ali Faruqi and you're watching Science with Ali. So in today's class, we're going to be taking a look at the Haber's process, which is the industrial production of ammonia from nitrogen and hydrogen, right? And in particular, we consider why the reaction is always done at a temperature of 450 degrees Celsius and a pressure of 200 atmospheres, right? So these are the conditions of the Haber's process. Now, the reason everyone learns about the Haber's process is that it's one of the most important reactions in the world. This is because the ammonia that it reduces is used to make nitrogen-based fertilizers, which allows us to grow all of the food that we need to feed everyone. That's your animals, that's the wheat, the plants, the everything. Now, in order to make such huge amounts of ammonia, we need a massive amount of nitrogen and hydrogen. Now, nitrogen is easy to require because 78% of the air is nitrogen, right? So we just take the air and we filter it out to get only the nitrogen, and then we use that nitrogen. Now, hydrogen is a bit of a tricky one because hydrogen is sourced from hydrocarbons, which are organic compounds like methane, natural gas, right? So two important things about this reaction are that it produces heat, which means that it is an exothermic reaction, and it is a reversible reaction, which means that equilibrium is established, meaning that the rate of the forward reaction is equal to the rate of the backward reaction. So some of the ammonia that gets formed will break back down to reform nitrogen and hydrogen. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, we need to look at how the process works, what conditions are used, what catalysts are used. Now, this image has been sourced from Cognito, which I think you all are familiar of. So there's that now. So basically what happens first is that because it's a reversible reaction, the products that are formed will reform back into the reactants. This is a diagram of the machines that are used. The first step is to take the hydrogen and nitrogen layers as reactants and feed them into the top left of the machine where they can mix together. We call this part the reaction vessel, right? Now, it is this reaction vessel where the conditions are kept at 450 degrees Celsius and a pressure of 200 atmospheres, right? And the gases are free to pass over this rod, which is the gray rod that I'm in the vessel, which is the iron catalyst. Now, a catalyst, what does a catalyst do in a reversible reaction? It basically lowers the activation energy. It provides an alternative pathway to the reaction. It makes the reaction faster, right? So after they touch this catalyst, the reactants react together to form ammonia. But importantly, because it's a reversible reaction, the mixture will still contain lots of nitrogen and hydrogen, right? So ammonia that is formed over here, there are still lots of nitrogen and hydrogen that pass through this gap to form over here, to reform over here. Now, this means that we need to somehow separate the ammonia that's been formed from the nitrogen and hydrogen that have not reacted. So as these molecules over here have not reacted and they have not formed ammonia. So what will happen is that we will have a condenser placed at the end right over here, which is much colder than the reaction vessel. The reaction vessel and the condenser are the main two compartments that are used in the Haber's process. Now, we can cool down the gaseous ammonia until it condenses into liquid ammonia, whereas the gaseous nitrogen and hydrogen pass through this tube right back where they started to again repeat the process and again come back here. So basically they're being reused again and again and again, right? So they can be recycled back into our reactant mixture. So there's our process. First what happens is that the nitrogen and hydrogen are fed into the top left of the machine. They then react together and touch this iron catalyst which lowers the activation energy and provides an alternative pathway. Then some of the nitrogen and hydrogen react, but the most that have not reacted that are present in the condenser pass again through this tube to come back down. Now the ammonia that has been formed will be remains, but when it passes through this condenser, it will be converted into liquid ammonia, where it is then taken away through another tube where the deposits are made for the ammonia, right? I hope I'm pretty clear. So now that we know how it works, the last thing we need to cover is why the Haber's process uses the conditions of 450 degrees and 200 atmospheres of pressure, right? 200 atmospheres of pressure. Why specifically these, right? Okay, so one more thing. So as we consider each condition, we need to bear in mind three things. What are those three things? The three things are the percentage yield, the rate of the reaction, and the third thing, which is cost, which is the most important, right? So let's start with temperature. Why this specific temperature, right? So if we need to understand this, we need to look at the reaction once again, which is right here. So the reaction is exothermic because it is producing heat energy, right? We're going to need a low temperature in order to favor the forward reaction. The problem though is that in order to achieve a high rate of reaction, we need a high temperature because the particles need plenty of kinetic energy in order to react. As a consequence, 450 degrees is chosen as a compromise. Now, we can use a higher temperature. But we choose not to because we need a lower temperature to favor the forward reaction. So even though it gives us a lower yield, 450 degrees gives us a lower yield, we choose to use it because it causes a higher rate of reaction. Alright? And finally, generating heat is expensive, so using a higher temperature would be too costly, and this would not occur, right? The coins that you see here, they will not be in the bank, they will just be all spent, right? So if we turn to pressure, so time for pressure, if we turn to pressure, now in order to achieve a higher percentage yield of ammonia, we need to look at this reaction once again, right? So I think you all remember when I taught Le Chatelier's principle, I told you all one thing, which was that whenever we are talking about pressure, we will only consider all the reactants and products that are in the gaseous state, right? So if we are in the gaseous state, we can talk about pressure. So now, if we count the number of moles, there are 2 moles over here and 4 moles over here. 3 plus 1 is 4 and 2 as the moles of ammonia. Now, we're going to want a higher pressure because there are fewer molecules of gaseous products than our reactants, because there are 2 moles of products and 4 moles of reactants. So in order to get more product, we need to increase the pressure, right? We need to, I think you all know where I'm going with this. We need to increase the pressure. So the position of equilibrium will shift to the right, giving us more ammonia and higher yield, right? So we also want a higher pressure to achieve a higher rate of reaction, because higher pressures mean that the particles collide with each other more frequently and so they can react. In this case, we can, let's just say, both of the points indicate that we need higher pressure. So the only thing limiting how high we make the pressure is the practical things like the cost, right? The cost. Now, which is the most important for every one of us. I think we are unanimous in agreeing with this point. So now, maintaining a high pressure like 200 atmospheres is extremely costly. Now you can't go lower than that, because if we go lower than that, we will get a lower rate of reaction, a lower yield of ammonia. So we can't go lower. We can go higher, but it will be costly and dangerous. Now, how it's dangerous? Because if we go 200 times the atmospheric pressure, you will just get squashed if you just go ahead and inside the vessel. I think that's extremely stupid. So now, high pressure can be really dangerous, and so 200 atmospheres turned out to be the best pressure. So I think that wraps up our entire video. We have covered all the top points regarding the Haber's process, the conditions, the commercial concerns, how the process works, what are the variables that we need to consider during this process. As always, if you have any questions regarding this video, so please drop it down in the comment section down below, so I will respond to your questions. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next class.